no announcement. My PC is broken. So for the last 2 days, I haven't been able to make any videos. And today is my off day, so I don't want to be sitting down trying to figure it out. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna do a live stream. Then I'm just gonna go out and skate or something. It's a beautiful summer day. So I'm just gonna wait to see if someone shows up. If not, I'm gonna give you a guitar lesson. Okay, this is my electric guitar. So I'm just gonna show you how to shred. So if you can see it in the future. So I'm just gonna wait until someone shows up. You know, I mainly play the classical guitar. You can see my nails. So I mainly play with the fingers, and I don't have any repertoire on the electric guitar. But because I am a guitar teacher, I know how to shred on the electric guitar, so I can show more people. And I can show you how to do that. It's very easy. I got this technique from Troy Grady, and it is called two-way pick slanting, which is basically you learn how to slant the pick one way. So when you go down, you rest the pick on the string, and when you go up, the pick is going to escape. And then you do like a wrist motion like this. So you bend the wrist and then you do something like this. And this is very easy. Anyone can do this. And then you learn the opposite, which is when you go up, the pick is going to rest on the string. And when you go down, the pick goes to the air. And all you have to do is you have to combine both. So you do this. Let's go, Sanchez Gaming. How are you doing? So we have 2 people on the chat. Let me see if I can get the chat here. Yes, I can see a chat. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, if you want to talk about anything. So I just want to show you how to shred. So basically what you have to do is you do this. For example, you start down, up, and then you rotate, and then you do the opposite. On the next string, you do the opposite. See? See, we have a question here. Just install ReShade for Days Gone. Looks amazing. Days Gone HDR is actually very good. Yeah, I hope to get the PC fixed. So basically what happens is that the CPU temperatures, I think it is being reported wrong. So from a long time, what happens is that I see that the CPU numbers are wrong. So I use MSI Afterburner and Riva Turner Statistics Server to analyze the performance, and I see, man, these CPU numbers are wrong. But I say, okay, it doesn't matter. This is software. For some reason, it's not reading well the numbers. But then I see 90 degrees. So when I'm playing games, 90 degrees, I'm like, man, I know this might be wrong, but I'm just gonna replace the thermal paste. I'm gonna open the PC, replace the thermal paste, and see if that solves the issue. And it's still the same. And I believe it's just reporting things wrong, and everything is working fine. But then I try to test Cinebench, and the PC crashed. And I'm like, why is this crashing? And Cinebench R23 crashes for some reason. R20 works, and the performance numbers the score is as expected. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the CPU. I believe it's the board. The motherboard is not reporting. The sensor of the motherboard for some reason is not working right. But that's so weird. That board is almost new. So yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. But today's my off day, so I'm I'm just gonna do this live stream to get some content for the channel. It has been 2 days without uploading any content. And then I'm just gonna go out. Beautiful summer day. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. So let me just finish the idea here. This is so simple to do, man. This is called two-way pick slanting. So you slant the pick this way, and you slant the pick this way. Anyone can shred doing this. So you do this, one, you down, up, and then you rotate, and you change into this slant. And then you rotate again. See? And this is very simple. I just wake up and I can do this. No warm up. So anyone can do this in one string. That's very simple. Anyone does this. But the problem is, how can you change from string to string? That's one way you can do it. So I just wanted to share that with you. I got that from Troy Grady YouTube channel. And it's very, very cool. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about ReShade, HDR, any games that you're testing. What I've been trying to do is basically just share the things that I'm learning, so you can also test. So my idea, my ultimate goal is not to tell you the settings, because at the end of the day, everyone has their own preference, and it's just not relevant, the settings of a specific game. The important thing is to figure it out so you can get the picture quality that you want for every single game, not to copy the settings for a specific game. So I don't like the idea of HDR settings for this game, for Hogwarts Legacy, boom. And then just copy my settings, and then you don't know anything, and that's it. I don't like that idea. I will still do that, especially when a game HDR is very broken and I have to do a lot of things to fix it. But that's not the plan. The plan is to share what I do, share my criteria, so you can do the same and do it yourself. Is better than just to copy my settings. And by the way, I was working on the HDR on Hogwarts Legacy. It's tough to get it perfect. I'm definitely going to share that. It's very, very tough, because when you fix the contrast of the game so it doesn't look like race, everything looks race in that game, and you're crushing details on the darkness. It's very, very tough to get. So I'm definitely gonna share the settings for Hogwarts Legacy as soon as I set it up. So yeah, I will still do that, share some settings for specific games. But honestly, I am talking about HDR and this new ReShade tool because I think that content is necessary. But I would like to figure everything out and then move on and talk about some other things, talk about different things. So yeah, but let me know what you want to talk about, what kind of content you want. I always listen to the feedback and the questions, and I try to address what I think is necessary, what we need to address. So today I'm gonna see someone helps me with my PC. A YouTube channel, I think it's called Mystic or something. It's a weird name. We're gonna see if we can talk on Discord. So he knows about PC. Okay, here it is, Mystic 1978. Let's see if we can talk about let's see if we can talk after the stream, to see if you can figure out what's going on with my PC, man, because I just don't know what else to do. The only thing I can do is just install Windows again, and I don't want to do that because every time I install Windows again, there is a game that even if I save the files or something, it doesn't work or something like that, and you know, the save files get messed up for some reason. So that's why I don't want to restart Windows. I want to figure it out. But yeah, after the stream, let's see if we can talk, see if you can figure out what's going on. Jose Pereira says, one thing about plasmas is that consumes like 450 watt for a 50-inch. I love that. So think about this. The more power the more performance you can get. And you see that on GPUs. You see NVIDIA, making GPUs that are 4 slots and they are 400 plus watts. I mean, you can push 400 plus watts. So the bigger, the better, more power, more performance you can get. Of course, you need active cooling for that. Plasmas have active cooling. Actually, my Pioneer Kuro has active cooling and it never works. I mean, the fans are never turned on. They only turn on in case of emergency. And basically, they never turn on. I've never seen them on. But I want TVs to be 400, 600 watts. I don't care. I want the TV to be this thick. I don't care about the TV being thin, so it is pretty. No. Give me a gigantic TV that consumes 600 watts with water cooling. I don't care. How expensive is water cooling? It is not that expensive. You can get an AIO for like, I don't know, $100. So it shouldn't be that expensive to add incredible active cooling to the TVs and give you incredible performance. The problem is that they don't want to give you that. They do not want to give you that kind of performance. They want a little bit better TV, a little bit better display, so you have to buy every year and keep you on the hook with that. They don't want to give you like suddenly, boom, 10,000 nits. There you go, perfect blacks, 10,000 nits, 95% BT 2020 coverage or something like that, perfectly calibrated, all the black frame insertion options and incredible motion interpolation, low latency, like everything is perfect, because then you are not going to buy anything else ever. Okay, so they are not going to give you that. That's the problem. That's what upsets me about this. But we need more power on this display so we can get more performance, bro. That's the thing. What's up, everybody? I see a lot of people joining. Happy Sunday, you sir. Yeah, man, I'm trying to have a good Sunday. That's why I didn't even want to turn on my PC. I hope you get, yeah, I need to get my PC working, because if I cannot play, I cannot make videos. I mean, I can play, the PC works, but I'm like, something is wrong. I don't want to be playing a game and having, Afterburner telling me that my PC is 90 degrees. Okay, it's just, I don't feel comfortable with that. And I know something is wrong. So yeah, I have to figure that out. That's a good thing in terms of performing with good quality. Try to use BFI on a C2. Don't work Alice gray out when I try. Let me tell you this, Josh. The number one comment I get on the channel by far is the OLED, the BFI or OLED motion is gray out. The motion clarity settings are grayed out. That's the number one comment I get on the channel. You have to turn off VRR. You have to turn off G-Sync, FreeSync. You have to turn off boost mode on the TV. If you have a console, you have to turn off ALLM, auto low latency mode. Just Google very quickly, how do I turn off ALLM on my console? And you will see the answer. That's it. So you use PC mode or game console mode and game optimizer mode, and those settings work. Now the motion interpolation doesn't work on game optimizer mode, so you have to use console mode and then any other picture mode that is not a standard, so that is not game optimizer. So I would recommend you to use Cinema Home and change the settings, or vivid mode, because Cinema Home and vivid mode, they push more brightness than the rest of the settings. Not peak brightness, but full screen brightness. They are brighter than the other modes, and maybe even more, a little bit more peak brightness. So that's what I recommend you if you want to use interpolation. And then the settings are very simple. For 24, 30 frames per second content, regardless of the platform, you need 30 hertz or 60 hertz or 24 hertz if you have 24 hertz content. But I recommend 60 hertz for gaming because at 60 hertz you get better input lag for the games. So you get 30 FPS, 60 hertz. That's what you get on the consoles anyway. They output 60 hertz even with 30 FPS games. And then you can use DJutter 10 motion, OLED Motion Pro Medium if you have a C1, and the CX it should work the same. So that's the setting. And then if you have 50 or 60 FPS, you need 50 or 60 hertz, and then you can use the Blur 10 OLED Motion Pro Medium on these LG OLEDs. But to be honest, that's so cool, but the input lag is bad, man. So I actually rarely use it. Sometimes I use it just for fun, but the input lag is bad. It's very, very bad. So yeah, let's see what else we have. I have a C1. In the first days, I always thought that Vivid option was better than Game Optimizer because Vivid was drawing 300 watts against Game Optimizer 150 watts. Yeah, Vivid mode is brighter. You just need to change the settings. I don't think it's twice as bright, but it is definitely brighter. So the picture modes, they don't matter. If you change the settings, they should be the same, but they are not. Vivid mode and Cinema Home, they push more brightness. So if you are not going to use Game Optimizer anyway, because you want to use interpolation, then change the settings of your Cinema Home or Vivid mode, change the settings, and there you go. You get more performance. Why not? Get more performance with Vivid mode or Cinema Home. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Yo tengo una masterclass in English. So he's saying he has a master's class. He's just telling me that he's gonna be busy. The person who's gonna help me to fix that PC. Go figure it out once you have a chance. I'll try to figure it out later today at night. Somebody asking what happens to my PC, that the CPU or the motherboard, something is wrong with it because I'm getting like 90 degrees reading, and yeah, something is wrong. And then Cinebench R23 is crashing for some reason. At startup, I am getting the blue screen of death for some reason. I don't understand. And then Cinebench R20, the score is perfect, like no issues whatsoever. So the CPU is performing well, the games are performing well, I am not getting any frame time spikes or anything, but the utilization of the CPU, the reading of the utilization of the CPU is messed up. And it has been messed up for a very long time. I was just thinking, oh, that's just, MSI Afterburner and Riva Turner statistics server because they are not being updated anymore or something like that. So I didn't pay attention to that because the temperature was right and the performance was right. But as soon as I see the temperature is messed up, I'm like, man, there's something wrong. The board, I think it's the motherboard. There's something wrong with the board. So yeah. Somebody asking, my LG OLED B9 from 2019 still going strong. Only thing it doesn't have FreeSync, but still looks great. I don't know about the B9. The B series, I don't know. I haven't followed the B series to know the features that they have or that they don't. But man, WRGB OLED is about the same. So the thing that changes is the software, if anything, because LG software is almost the same, the menus are the same. But after the C9, so on the C10, they added this fine-tune dark areas option. They added this, HDMI signaling override secret menu. But aside from that, it's just WRGB OLED is the same thing. My recommendation for anyone who already has a WRGB OLED is to get something different. Get a QD-OLED. I am not a big fan of the raised blacks under lighting conditions, and Samsung software with the firmware and all of that, they can mess things up. But that's what I would do. If I were to get a new TV, I would not get the G3, just because I already know how the WRGB OLED looks. I would like to get a different technology. Get QD-OLED with fluorescent blue. That is coming. Fluorescent, not with phosphorescent blue. Right now the blue is fluorescent. So once we get that phosphorescent blue, that's gonna be a lot more efficient. They might push a little bit more brightness, and they are definitely going to lower the power consumption a lot. And that's what I hate. That's what I was talking about. We need more power hungry devices so we get more performance. So what's gonna happen once they get this phosphorescent blue out, instead of giving you the proportional jump in performance, they are going to give you a little bit more performance, and then they're gonna drop the power dramatically. That's what they're going to do. And that's just no. No. If that thing is, here's the thing, fluorescent OLEDs, they are wasting 75% of the energy. Okay, so you're getting 25% of the brightness with the same current. Okay, now with phosphorescent you can get 100%. So there's no heat, there's no waste on heat. Okay, so now you could get 4x brightness. It's not like that. Okay, you don't get 4x brightness because we already have the red, and the green is phosphorescent. Okay, so the blue is the only one that's fluorescent, based on what I researched on Wikipedia and all of that. So you're not gonna get, 4x brightness. You will get more brightness, but instead of giving you that performance improvement, they're gonna drop the power. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna give you 2,000 nits on consumer TVs. That's it. You get 2,000 nits, maybe even at D65, but they're going to decrease the power. Why? Okay, I'm already making a rant about that because I know that's what's gonna happen. It's just wrong. Wrong. Somebody says CRT is still a king for gaming. Let me tell you this. If there is any company that managed to do a brand new CRT that is 27 inch, I don't care how big it is, give me 27 inch, because 21 inch is still too small, man, too small. Give me 27 inch, even 32 inches, okay? There are CRTs that are 32 inches. Make it huge, make it gigantic, okay? 32 inches, we get 2K plus, so a resolution between 2K and 4K would be absolutely amazing. Give me more than 100 hertz. It doesn't really matter. You increase the hertz on the CRT just to reduce the flickering perception. That's it. Make it 100, 200 hertz. It doesn't matter. The colors, that's good colors. Phosphorescent, glowing, incandescent colors. So it looks good. I don't care. Rec 709 still looks fantastic. And the motion clarity, of course, absolutely incredible. Yes, you get some trailing artifacts behind moving objects, but not trailing artifacts. It's like the phosphorus decay, but that doesn't bother me at all. So it is not perfectly clean, but it's just so clear in motion. Perfect input lag. I mean, give me that, man. I would buy that day one, and I'm sure like so many people would buy that for sure. I mean, it's just incredible for gaming. Now, I'm not going to just sell my OLED because I have a CRT like that, okay? But it would be amazing, and I would buy that for sure. How much would I pay for that? $1,000. Okay, I know there are people paying crazy money for the FW900, like $3,000, something like that. That's too much, man. That's just too old. But a brand new CRT with those specs, I would pay $1,000, and I think it's worth it. But yeah, that's not gonna happen. They are not gonna come back, unfortunately. A new Sanchez Gaming. Well, thank you for the support, man. Thank you for the super chat. I am new to ReShade. It has a lot of ads on. Can you recommend maybe in a video the best ones to use for the best crispy look? So ReShade is gigantic, man. Absolutely massive. It's overwhelming. The amount of options that you have on ReShade, it is just like, I don't believe anyone can master ReShade in totality, like everything. I know everything about ReShade. I'm an expert. Impossible. Okay, it's just too big. I'm getting started too, man, and I am sharing everything I learned. Okay, I don't want to make this channel like ReShade because I have a lot of console gamers telling me, hey bro, you're making 2 PC focused videos. Give me something. Okay, so I have to mix it up. But I'm gonna share everything I learned about ReShade. So far with the ads on, I haven't been playing around with that. So I have nothing to share with you on that. I am focusing on finding shaders that help me to tweak the picture quality. For example, there's a new, not a new shader, there's a shader that's called Lightroom, and somebody told me about that. Cynical Creator, this is one of our superstars. He designed the test patterns that I share with you. He told me, hey, there's a shader. It's called Lightroom. It's part of the Quint shaders. So Quint with a Q, Quint shaders. And this Lightroom shader is similar to the PROD8003 curved levels shader. So with this Lightroom shader, you can have a graph that is one line. So then if you lower the gamma, you see the graph, it becomes like this. So it's like a gamma curve. Okay, so with this shader, you can modify the gamma, you can modify the shadows, the midtones, the highlights, everything independently, so you can get exactly the picture that you want. And that's what I am using right now for Hogwarts Legacy, because I want to get all that near black detail, which is absolutely incredible in Hogwarts Legacy, but I want to, at the same time, I want to reduce that elevated grayscale so it doesn't look washed out everywhere, because Hogwarts Legacy, it just looks too race. It looks washed out. And then if I use this SDR black floor emulation, I crush the shadow detail. So I'm working on Hogwarts Legacy, and I'm going to accomplish something spectacular there. I've been working hard. So I will definitely share that. But so far, I haven't tested any of the ads on for ReShade. I'm learning like you. I'm just getting started, but I promise you, everything I learned, that's what I've been doing on this channel. I am honest. I tell you, hey, I am new to this, or I am learning. I am not an expert, but when I learn something new, I share that. I like to share that. So everything I learn, I promise you, I'm going to share that with everybody. So let's see what else we have here. What is the recommended gamma level for gaming? Let me go back, because I jump a lot of questions. Let me go back to see the questions that we had. Okay. You good, man. You should be my friend in real life. We're friends. We're all friends here. We're probably too far away. I'm in the shower, or somebody's taking a shower, a morning shower. Hi. No go for me, unfortunately. I can see the flickering from a mile away on any setting, makes me nauseous. Is that with CRTs? Some people complain with flickering on CRTs. When you increase the refresh rate, like 100 Hertz, something like that, there's no more perceivable flickering for most people. And for OLED Motion Pro, for BFI on these LG OLEDs, when you get 100, so on the C1, 100 Hertz, 100 FPS, OLED Motion Pro high, it doesn't flicker. For me, again, flickering perception depends on the person. Some people are more likely to see flickering, okay? And that, the Blur Busters chief told me that. You cannot say 100%, guarantee, nobody ever is going to perceive flickering at 100 Hertz with this OLED Motion Pro high or 120. We cannot say that. Some people, yes, they do see flickering. It depends on the person. But very unlikely, man. Very unlikely. I'm sure most people are not gonna be able to tell any flickering whatsoever with this OLED Motion Pro high on the C1 at 100 Hertz. It's just so good. Like, even if you have a full white screen, it looks solid to me. It's not flickering. Now 60, yes, it does flicker, and I get used to it, but I can definitely see why a lot of people might not be able to tolerate that. So yeah, let's see what else we have here. Okay, how is the Pioneer holding up? Let me tell you something. I've been wanting to play with the Pioneer some games, but the thing is, I have to change the PC from one room to the other. So I'm moving soon. Actually, this month I am moving, and I'm gonna have a bigger space, much bigger space. So yeah, I'm gonna have the plasma and the C1 on the same room with my PC. So I just, when I want to use the plasma, I just have it right there. But here in this room, I don't have space for the plasma. The plasma, I don't think I can fit the plasma through this door. It's just so big. So yeah, I'm moving so I can play with both. The plasma is so good, man. Let me tell you, at the beginning with this Pioneer Kuro plasma, I was like, man, the input lag is so bad. I was disappointed. Like, man, it looks so good, but the input lag is bad, very, very bad. And then I said, okay, let me just. I was playing Immortal Phoenix Rising, and I'm like, man, something happened. The input lag feels good now. It was feeling okay. And I knew, man, this is maybe a placebo effect. It's the same input lag, but you get used to it. That's the thing. You get used to it. If it's not terrible, okay, you get used to the input lag. So I got used to it, and I was just happy. I was enjoying that, and it looks so good, man. The colors on the plasma look. Let me tell you, I recorded a short video zooming in on the pixels on the plasma and comparing that with the OLED. And you can see that the pixels on the plasma, they are just one, like this is one pixel, the other pixel is right here. There's no space in between. It looks so thick. Okay, when you look at the plasma, the impression that gives me, any plasma really, but especially this Pioneer Kuro, the impression that gives me is like when you paint a wall and you put like 4 layers of paint. It looks solid. It looks thick. That's the impression that the plasma gives me. And of course, when you have a solid color, the uniformity is a lot better than on the OLED. Even when this Pioneer Kuro Plasma TV has some dirt screen effect. Okay, it has dirt screen effect, and yet somehow it looks more uniform. Like it just looks, the panel uniformity, even with that dirt screen effect, if you display a solid color, it looks much better. It looks great, man. I really, really love the plasma. But yeah, the C1 is better. Okay, I don't want to mislead anyone. The C1 is better. Not in everything, but it's almost better on every single way. It has better motion clarity, much better input lag, and yeah, it has HDR. HDR definitely makes a difference. So yeah, let's see what else we have. Let me answer one of the latest questions. Were you able to get deep blacks on the CRT? If so, what settings did you see? The CRT, you need to be on the darkness, completely dark room, because the CRT phosphorus screen is gonna glow if you turn on the lights. And for example, let's say you're using the CRT on a dark room, then you turn it off, you see the screen is still gonna be glowing. Or you turn on the lights, you do this, you turn on the lights on the CRT, and then you turn it off, and you see the screen is glowing because that phosphorus layer is gonna turn on. So you don't have perfect blacks at all. And actually the contrast on the CRTs is not very high contrast. The plasmas have a lot higher contrast. Yet somehow the CRTs have acceptable blacks, okay? But you're either perfect or you're not, and they do not have perfect blacks like OLEDs, but they are very good. They're very good. I don't have complaints in terms of the black level of CRTs. The only complaint I have about CRTs is the size and that they are not available. That's it. Of course, resolution. You have some big CRT TVs that are low resolution. Yeah, resolution size, and that they are not available, and they are super expensive. The best ones are just too expensive. That's the only complaint I have. Yeah, let me catch up with some of the questions. I don't want to jump. I'm gonna read all the questions, so you feel free to take your time. I want to read everything. So let's see. Thank you. Thanks to you, I bought OLED instead of QLED, and I am playing God of War, and it looks perfect. Well, wait until you play a game that actually looks good on HDR. Because God of War is a mess, okay? So if that looks good to you, you're gonna be very happy when you actually play a game that looks good on HDR. I mean, God of War is trying to output 10,000 nits, and everything is raised. It's just messed up. I actually was playing around with these new Lilium HDR shaders, and I learned how to make any game look like God of War. Basically, what you have to do is to do a reverse tone mapping. So let's say that the game max CLL is 1000. You have that as the, you say, okay, this is the game max CLL. Now I want 10,000 nits, and everything looks blowing out. That's how God of War looks. It's just absolutely atrocious. HDR. It's just so bad. Oh, maybe you're playing God of War, the second part on the PS5, but the first one on the PC is just so bad. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what matters is if we like it. So if you like it, man, enjoy it. But I have some settings for God of War. Give it a try. I share that if you're playing it on the PC with these new ReShade shaders. Give that a try. I lowered the in-game brightness and contrast to 38 and 37, if I remember correctly. And then I just did tone mapping with this new Lilium HDR shaders. Sanchez says, I can't use HDR. It hurts my eyes. Can you do a video with the best add-ons for ReShade? They have so many options. Yeah, as soon as I figure that out, I will share that. Okay, after I tested and I tried those, I will share that. If you say that HDR is bothersome to you, definitely try my blue light killer settings. I promise you, that's definitely going to reduce the eye strain big time. Okay, the problem is the blue lights. We don't like the blue lights. It's nasty for our eyes. We need it. Okay, we need those blue lights to get the best picture quality. But here's the thing, with the settings that I share, with this blue light killer settings that I share, you still see blue. Okay, you look at the sky, it's blue. Things look blue because we are not eliminating the color blue completely. We are just reducing the gain of the color blue as much as possible. And it just looks so good and so gentle to my eyes that I absolutely love it. So definitely give that a try. Actually, I have to do a blue light killer settings calibration for native HDR because I share the calibration for SDR, I believe, and for the SDR HDR trick, but I have not set up a blue light killer settings for native HDR, so without raising the near black for OLED Motion Pro. So I'm going to do that because I think that's very important, and that's exactly what you need, Sanchez. That's exactly what you need. You need blue light killer settings for native HDR. You give that a try, and you will see, man. It definitely makes a difference. Let's see what other questions we have. Should you rather have the G3 or S95C? The S95C, no question. I mean, it's not even close. Why? Because I already have a WRGB OLED. So the G3 is going to be more of the same, okay? So I much rather have something different. Actually, I much rather have an LCD with local dimming than the G3, actually. Which one? That's not an easy choice because yeah, it's tough. I would need to test it because you see HDTV test and other reviewers saying that the Sony X95L, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's the one. It's like the pinnacle of LCD, and they do not have a lot of dimming zones. And also Sony doesn't let you turn off some of the dimming, so I'm not sure if that's an issue with LCDs. I don't believe so. It shouldn't be an issue with the LCDs. But Sony is not like the most feature rich for gaming, and also the local dimming algorithm should affect the input lag big time. Although from Classy Tech Calibrations, he said on a comment on one of the live streams from FOMO or something, I asked that question, hey, is local dimming going to affect the input lag? And Classy said no. Maybe I misinterpret what he said. So go and ask him, but I believe he said no specifically. It doesn't. but I've seen hardware unbox monitor reviews with mini LED monitors, and he always say that HDR on those monitors, they do have a worse input lag. So yeah, that's my answer. I much rather have anything else different as long as it's different from what I have, because I already have a WRGB OLED. So now, if you don't have a WRGB OLED, which one would you get? You get a QD-OLED or WRGB. Here's the thing. A QD-OLED is a superior technology, okay? Especially on a dark room, okay? But as soon as you turn on the lights, it looks bad, man. I saw it on the store. It is just horrendous. It looks like an LCD screen with raised blacks, okay? Because the QD-OLED screen lights up under lighting conditions, okay? So you have to turn off the lights. Then the QD-OLED, yes, it is a superior technology. It's brighter. It is way more colorful. But here's the thing. It doesn't have a PWM option at its maximum refresh rate. So it doesn't have this black frame insertion at 100 and 120 that we have on this LG C1 G1 CX GX. I mean, even the C9 have that option. So if I had both right now, if I had a QD OLED and my LG C1, I would play native HDR games that are fantastic, which is not a lot. Okay, I would play those on the QD OLED, okay? But most of the games I would play it on my C1, because if I cannot get 120 FPS on the game, I much rather use OLED Motion Pro High at 60 or 100, okay? Because of the motion clarity, it just looks so much better. So yes, having a more colorful and brighter picture is nice, and I would definitely enjoy that. But when you see the motion clarity, nothing else matters. You are like, man, give me that. I cannot turn that off. So to go back in motion clarity for gaming is a tough choice. It's very difficult, because when we are playing a game, we're moving all the time. So when you get blurriness when you're moving, no, I don't care about the colors. Give me a more clear picture. So that's my full answer here. There. Let's see what else we have. Let me catch up with one of the latest questions. Are you on top of worst PC HDR implementations? What are your top worst PC HDR implementations? Red Dead Redemption 2. I would say Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's a tough question, man. There's a lot of competition there. That's tough. I would need to think about that for longer. But yeah, definitely Red Dead Redemption HDR is unfixable. I gave up already. It's just not possible to fix, because you fix the contrast, then you crush blacks, and it's just not worth it. The SDR HDR trick looks much better. Auto HDR, anything. That native HDR is just trash. Absolute garbage. So don't worry about it. Somebody tells me that 90 degrees is normal for AMD. No, I have a 5800 X3D. It is not normal when you're playing a game getting 90 degrees unless you're using passive cooling or something like that. It's okay that the CPU is just gonna reduce the clocks and to keep up the performance. But here's the thing. I know the reason why I know it's wrong is because the performance is not being affected and the clock is not being reduced. So I'm getting the performance, I'm getting the expected clock speeds. It's just reading 90 degrees for some reason, so I'm afraid that the motherboard is wrong, and I have to figure that out, man. I don't know what it is yet. Yeah, CPU fan is working. I have a gigantic Noctua cooler, NH15. Let's see. My cooler is the NHD15 SE AM4. That's my cooler. So yeah, it's a gigantic cooler, man. I'm not supposed to get 90 degrees when gaming. That's just bad. It's just very bad. It shouldn't be happening. Let's see. Josh said, I follow your instructions. I do have a PS5. I put it in SDR, but it grayed out. I try with Spider-Man. It is an her game. This gets so frustrating. I don't understand the question, man. I don't understand. So you have a PS5. What is grayed out? All Motion Pro? I don't understand what SDR has to do with that. So SDR or HDR have nothing to do with All Motion Pro. So I'm not sure what is getting grayed out for you. If you can make another comment and explain me what the problem is, because I don't understand. Can the color control app be downloaded with Mac OS? I don't believe so. There's not a Mac OS version of the color control app. I just started streaming from my powerful PC to a tablet and Bluetooth controller using Moonlight and NVIDIA software. I am playing Baldur's Gate 3 and the quality is very good. Plasma, have you tried it? Yeah, I tried Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not sure if you're talking about streaming. No, if you're talking about streaming to another device, I haven't tried that. But I definitely tried Baldur's Gate 3. I've been playing it for like 5 hours maybe, or more, 5-6 hours. And I understand why people like it. It still hasn't clicked for me yet, especially the combat, because I feel like, here's the thing, I'm playing it on easy mode, okay? Because I'm new to that genre. So Baldur's Gate combat system is turn-based. And I've never played those kind of games. So here's the thing, because I'm playing it on easy mode, I feel like sometimes the battles, they take too long, and it was easy at the end. So I'm like, man, why this took so long? See, if at the end, the only thing I had to do was just to hit attack and something like that. See, so I still don't see the strategy. I still don't see where is the difficulty, the challenge. Where is the challenge on the combat system? Of course, I would need to increase the difficulty, but then if I increase the difficulty without figuring it out, I'm just gonna waste my time. So I need to figure it out first. Where is the challenge in Baldur's Gate? And then, as far as I can see, the story seems to be interesting. The story is interesting to me. I want to see what's going on, because it looks like, yeah, these aliens that they put the thing on the head and trying to convert you to an alien or something like that. It's interesting. I like it. It looks good. I like it. The performance is good. I'm liking the game so far. And with the HDR tweakings that I share, it looks fantastic. It looks very, very good. I like it. I like the game. So I'm definitely gonna give it a try. Let me try to see. Let me answer one of the latest questions. Would games from the PS3 and Xbox 360 era look better on a plasma or OLED? So the problem is, here's the thing, the plasmas that I have a 24 hertz output, but not a 30 hertz output for some reason. So I am not sure if that's the norm, okay? But if you have a plasma that has 30 hertz output and you play a 30 FPS game, it's going to look stuttery, okay? You're going to get stutter because 30 FPS is just too low, okay? So that's not motion blur, that's called stutter. It's this. It looks like that in motion. So, but on the plasma, it's going to look more clear. Basically, so you're going to get stutter, but it's going to look more clear because it has a lower persistence. But we cannot talk about motion clarity. When it is stuttering, it looks terrible. So, yeah, it's low resolution, 30 FPS. And of course, if you talk about an emulator, those PS3 games and 360 games, they can be played on emulator sometimes at 120 frames. Okay, so if you get 120 FPS, the OLED and high resolution, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a PS3 game or if it's one of the latest games. But if you're gonna play those games on the TV from the original Xbox 360 or PS3, if they are 60 FPS, yes, I think the plasma is gonna look better. But here's the thing, the plasma doesn't have perfect blacks, okay? So if it's 60 FPS on the OLED, if you have a C1, you get OLED Motion Pro high, and it's going to look more clear, more contrast. No, in motion it's gonna look very similar. Okay? Not a lot more clear, but it's gonna look very similar. but you get infinite contrast. It's not an easy answer. The OLED is better. Okay, the OLED is better. If you can, all you can get is 30 FPS. That sucks anyway. If it's a low resolution, the problem that on the OLED looks so bad, and on the plasma, that low resolution is going to kind of be okay. It's gonna look terrible anyway, but it's gonna be more digestible. But on the OLED, that low resolution is really going to stand out. It's gonna look horrendously bad. So yeah, man, here's the thing. When we try to see which TV has the best motion interpolation, the best processing for movies, and what is the best device to enjoy this low quality content, what we should be demanding is for high quality content. When it comes to movies, for example, like, why do I have to use interpolation to be able to enjoy a movie? These directors need to understand that 24 frames per second sucks. It looks bad, okay? Stop, please. Stop 24 FPS movies. It looks very bad. Now, what they say is, oh no, if you record the faces at 60 FPS, it looks fake. Do I look fake to you right now? Are my expressions looking fake to you, or do I look natural? I look okay. So that's it. We just need to get better actors. If they look fake at 120 FPS, they just need to improve their acting. Okay, once they practice, once they record their faces at 120 FPS and they see, man, I'm looking fake. They need to develop new techniques. They need to improve, maybe the camera angles or something, or maybe just record the entire movie at 120 FPS or 240. I don't care, as high as possible, and then use some post-processing for the facial expressions. That's it. That shouldn't be that difficult. Just change the facial expressions if the director thinks that they look fake. But when you have a movie like Avatar, oh my God, that movie looks so bad. Okay, terrible, absolutely horrendous. Film grain. It's just noise everywhere. It looks like 1080p. I'm watching a movie that's like 80 gigabytes, okay, and it looks like 1080p with so much film grain, noise on the picture, and then when you see that beautiful world, because the world of Avatar is just mind-blowing. I cannot wait for the new Ubisoft Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. I cannot wait to play that game because I'm fascinated with that world. It just looks amazing. But when you're trying to watch that movie and they show you a panning shot of that fantastic, mind-blowing world, it just sucks, man. It looks so bad. It's like, I cannot see. It's just a blurry mess. These directors need to understand that. Okay, there's nothing cinematic about 24 frames per second. It just sucks. Objectively, it's not my opinion. You do a panning shot, it looks like this. That looks bad. So what they do is they add motion blur to really make it blend in. Of course, when you add motion blur to low frame rate content, the idea is to make that stutter blend into motion blur. Okay, and it works, and it is better because the stutter is just unbearable. So you much rather have motion blur than stutter. But why would you have motion blur? Why would you want, if you have a panning shot, here's the thing. If you want to show, you as the director, you want to show the beauty of your Avatar world, okay? And you record a panning shot. Why would you want the picture to be blurry? Explain me that. Okay, I would ask James Cameron, bro, listen. Your idea, your world, it's just amazing, okay? I want to see it. I cannot see it when you show me a panning shot at 24 frames per second or 48. That still sucks. It's too low, okay? So yeah, I feel very strong about it. These movie directors, they're just wrong, big time wrong. So yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon. But yeah, they have to realize they are wrong. Let me catch up with the latest comments. Try turn. Okay, so somebody's. See, we have a questions. Okay. I had to RMA my 4090, so now revisiting PS4. Oh my goodness, a huge change. I hate Motion Pro High on 60 Hz due to flickering. However, flicker is much less visible at night or dark room. I never bought lighting, can be a huge factor. Yeah, so yeah, it flickers at 60. It flickers, and I can see it. I can definitely see it. I get used to it. And here's the thing: what I would recommend you is try horror games with 60, games that look dark most of the time, because as long as you don't have a very bright picture everywhere, the flickering is almost not visible. So when you have a very dark scene, OLED Motion Pro High at 60 FPS, you don't see the flickering. So try it on games like that, but don't try it on, Genshin Impact. Everything is bright all the time. It's just eye searing, and then that flickering, that's gonna be unbearable. Just too bad. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. And in terms of the room lighting, I tried to change the room lighting to see if I was able to notice any difference, and I couldn't. But the Blurbusters chief told me that the ambient light does affect the flickering perception and also how close you sit to the screen. So if you sit a little bit farther away and you set up the ambient light on a certain way, that definitely mitigates the flickering perception. The Blurbusters chief told me that. So now I tested changing the lighting on my room, and I still see it. So I much rather have the lights off and get, better picture. But yeah, definitely give it a try, because it is supposed to make a difference, the ambient light. So with your All Motion Pro settings, it is totally usable. Slight flicker is still there, but I really have to look for it. Glad to see you're still improving and fixing HDR. Thanks again. Thank you. That sounds great. Okay, I don't want to miss any comments. So let me go back and continue reading the comments. I'm gonna read all the comments. I can, okay. I cannot be. I'm not gonna be the whole day, but as long as I'm here, I'm gonna read all the comments. Let's see. See what else we have here. Okay, so okay, can the color control? I don't know. I'm trying to find where I was. Okay, I just picked up a Panasonic CT60 with only 3,000 hours. Wow, that's what my LG C1 has. 3,000 hours on it for 600 euros. The last plasma to ever be released. I'm not buying anymore after this. Next step is an OLED in a few years. That's great, man. I mean, that's fantastic. A CT 65 inches, that low hours, that's very good. I enjoy it. I am loving Lilian ReShade with native HDR, but I just hope he will fix the ReShade for auto HDR, cause I would love that too. So here's the thing. Here's what I believe is happening with ReShade. Okay, and auto HDR, because it was working and it stopped working, and that was not a coincidence. I believe that Lilian sees that with auto HDR we are not getting a reading that is accurate, so he don't want you to see it with auto HDR. It's that simple. But here is my recommendation for Lilium. It doesn't matter if it's not accurate, because in terms of the peak brightness, if it can show you the near black at least, it is useful. It is useful. So even when it is not accurate, it can still be useful. So let it work. would be my recommendation. So in my opinion, what I believe is that Lilium doesn't want that to work with auto HDR because it is not reading what it's supposed to read, basically. So what you can do is you can download an older version of the Lilium HDR shaders, and it would work. So yeah, I want that to work because, for example, even for the SDR HDR trick, it is very useful, and it works in some games. So in some games, you open the game on SDR, so you have HDR on Windows. You open the game on SDR, so no auto HDR on the game, and it works in some games, and it is useful because I can see the near black is raised, and then when I use this SDR black floor lowering, I see that it works and it lowers the black floor. But now here's the thing. You need to fix everything. You need to fix the midtones, not the near black only. And this SDR black floor lowering setting fixes the near black only. So the picture is still gonna look washed out. That's why I still recommend the SDR HDR trick over doing that. But I will figure out a preset to fix everything, fix the midtones and everything. I'm actually working on that. But the problem is I'm working on that and I'm not gonna be able to tell you, hey, here is the SDR HDR trick for every single game that doesn't support HDR. I'm not gonna be able to tell you that simply because it is not working on every game. So yeah, I'm maybe gonna do a video like that to talk about that, to tell Lilium, hey man, you've done an amazing job. Please focus on making this tool be useful for auto HDR and also for SDR HDR tricks, because it is very important. Very important. In my opinion, that's even more important than native HDR, because if we have an HDR display, we want to have a way to always play on HDR. So I don't care if the HDR on the game is crap, if it is unfixable, if it supports HDR or not. I have an HDR display, I will use HDR no matter what. So for me, focus on the SDR HDR trick so we get the best picture quality no matter what. That's the most important thing. So I'm gonna do a video just to tell Lilium, hey man, please figure it out. Make that tool work for SDR HDR trick. We need it. We need it. It's very important. I'm sure he can figure it out. Let me read one of the latest questions. I exclusively game on 77-inch LG GX in 4K 120 FPS with OLED Motion Pro High. It is the best gaming experience. None when set up correctly. I can't recommend it enough. So here's the thing. I've been working with gaming tech to do some deep analysis and research on the LG CX, because he has an LG CX and we're still working on it. Okay, I have some of the numbers, some of the brightness measurements already, and that helps to determine a little bit, so to kind of have an idea about the motion clarity and everything. We have it clear. The only thing that we need to have clear, so I can do a video, I want to make a video specifically about the LG CX motion clarity, OLED Motion Pro High, low, medium, high. Okay, and the only thing that we are missing, that we still need to figure it out, is that OLED Motion Pro High at 100 and 120. We need to know exactly what is the persistence, okay? What is the pixel visibility time? And we're still working on it, okay? We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done. And I am very interested to knowing that. So I don't know what's the persistence. You tell me, Alex D. You have a CX, okay, a GX. Here's what you have to do to know exactly how good. So there's no, you guys need to understand this. When it comes to motion clarity, the only thing that's subjective about motion clarity is maybe some trailing artifacts, some things that are, gray to gray limitations, something like that you might be able to see it. That's subjective. But here's the thing, with these OLEDs, there is none of that. There's no gray to gray, trailing artifacts. There's no crosstalk. The picture is absolutely clean. Okay, very clean. So with the OLEDs specifically here, there's no subjectivity. This is 100% objective. It's a number. Okay, so how can you find out what is the exact motion clarity of your LG GX? Alex, listen, do this. Connect your GX to a PC. You probably have a PC because you're playing 120 FPS, okay? Open the UFO test. This open the UFO test. You have 120 hertz on your GX, and lower the speed to 120 pixels per second. Okay? Make sure that you have the scaling on Windows set to 100% and the scaling on the browser 100%. So display scaling and the browser zoom 100%. So there's no weird scaling messing up the test. Okay? Open the UFO test, lower the speed to 120 pixels per second, and have sample on hold. So no OLED Motion Pro settings. And take a look at the UFO test. Okay? You will see that it looks absolutely perfect, as it should. Okay? Actually, it's going to have 1 pixel of motion blur, which is considered perfect at a normal viewing distance. But 1 pixel of motion blur means half a pixel of motion blur at the leading edge and half a pixel of motion blur at the trailing edge. Okay, so take a look at that. Okay, and have that as a reference. Okay? That's how it needs to look. So now use the feature, use OLED Motion Pro High, and increase the speed. Okay. At 240 pixels per second, it should look even better than 120 pixels per second without it. Okay. Then increase the speed to 360 pixels per second. Okay. So now how can you do that? That option is not even available. Okay. I have a video showing how to do that. You have to right click, inspect, and then modify like the line or something. I have a video showing how to do that. Search that on the channel. You change the speed to 360 pixels per second, and that might or might not look as exactly the same as the 120 without OLED Motion Pro. But if it looks the same or even better, then now change the speed to 480 pixels per second, and this is as fast as you should be able to do. Okay. So at 480 pixels per second, tell me, okay, and be honest, this is not about, we're trying to do something that's scientific, okay? So I need data that it is, you're not saying it looks perfect and it doesn't, okay? It has to look exactly the same at 480 pixels per second. 120 hertz OLED Motion Pro High on the GX. It needs to look exactly the same as no OLED Motion Pro, 120 pixels per second. Okay, if it looks exactly the same, that means that the GX at 120 OLED Motion Pro High has 2 milliseconds of persistence. Okay, equal to 2 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. And now when you move the UFO test at 960 pixels per second, it looks good. Okay, it looks okay. You have 2 pixels of motion blur. Okay, that's it. Do that testing and let me know, bro. Let me know. I want to know that. I've been trying to figure that out for the longest time. Okay, let me catch up with the comments. What is the recommended gamma level for gaming? It depends. I mean, I usually, when I do the SDR HDR trick, I usually leave the gamma settings in game at the default. But now that I know a little bit more, I am starting to play around and change that. But if you mean the TV gamma, if you have SDR, if you are on SDR BT1886, or gamma 2.4, it's the same on OLEDs. It is supposed to manage the near black differently, but I don't see any difference. So if that's your question about SDR, yeah, 2.4, but whatever. If it looks better to you at 2.2, use 2.2. I never use SDR for gaming anyway. Never. On my OLED, I mean. I always use HDR. It just looks better. on every single case. Bro, LG has a nice TV, but it is so bad they grade out crap. Yeah, 113111. I put the TV in SDR, HDR game, but TV is in STD mode. Still grayed out. Damn, bro. So what is it? What is grayed out? There's a lot of things that are grayed out, but I don't understand specifically what is that you're complaining about. The STD mode is still grayed out. So is that on the C3 or G3 that the game genre presets are grayed out? I heard that that was an issue. On the C3, G3, they have this game genre presets grayed out for some reason, and then with the firmware update, they change it, so they're going back and forth. For some reason, it's not working, and that doesn't make any sense. Why would they remove features? Like, that's just literally removing a feature. That wouldn't make any sense. I don't understand why would they do that. I mean, you want those features for gaming. That's what they're designed for. So that's just a bug. I'm gonna say that's just a bug. Try to use the color control app, see if you can change that. I don't remember seeing the game genre preset options on the color control app. I think they are not even there. Have you played a game in peace, not messing with the TV settings? Actually, you would be surprised. I don't change TV settings that much when I am actually going to play the games. I know the settings that I want already for every single game. The reason why I change settings is so I can share the tweakings with you. But I know how to get the picture I want immediately. Like I don't struggle with that. Basically, that's not a struggle for me. It's very simple, very simple. And if I'm going to use the TV just to watch the TV, I just change the settings quickly to what I want. So I was watching the other day like a podcast that I like to hear when I was trying to fix the PC and changing the thermal paste on my CPU and all of that. I was listening to the MMA holes because I don't want to have to watch the UFC because I was just working. So it's just a podcast that they are narrating, the play-by-play what's going on with the UFC. So I was watching that on the TV with the TV internal TV apps with the YouTube, and I just changed my SDR settings that way. I'm not going watching the TV anyways. I figured out the settings, so that's not a struggle for me basically. If you feel like, oh man, I don't want to have to be changing settings all the time to play different games, I don't do that anyway. I have the settings that I like. The thing is, I've shared with you many settings, but I always use the same settings. I don't change it too much. I have like a couple of things that I use, and that's the way I play. Went to store yesterday. Those QD-OLEDs look terrible on the lighting conditions. You were right. It's strange that people are not bothered by it. I think that most people don't know what to look for. That's why they don't notice that. But it is definitely a problem. It needs to be said, okay? I'm sure you take that home, you turn off the lights, and it's just wow, amazing. The colors, the brightness, the vibrancy of the picture is fantastic. But on the store, so when you go to buy a TV, you go to the store, okay? And you look at the TV. If you like it, you take it home. It's that simple. You go to a store, you look at a QD-OLED. Okay, you're coming from one of these LG OLEDs with a glossy finish, with amazing black levels, even under lighting conditions. Right now I look at my screen, it looks black, and I have the lights on. Okay, so you're coming from this. You go to a store, you look at a QD-OLED, it looks washed out. The black level is raised, and it is terribly raised to the point that a mini LED TV looks to have, it seems like it has a deeper contrast. It looks better actually. I was looking at the 900C, and it was just looking better than the S95C on the store due to the lighting conditions. Okay, and that's just not. I'm not sold on it. Like, I need to take it home. Okay, I need to test it myself, see how it looks with the lights off, and I'm sure I'm gonna be blown away. I'm gonna be like, wow, especially after I took the settings and I, get the picture that I want. I'm gonna be blown away. But that's not how people buy the TVs. Okay, some people, they go to the store to see if the TV looks good. Just by going to the store, it looks terrible. Okay, so if you walk to the store and you buy it because it looks good to you, you just don't know what to look for. Or maybe the salesperson just told you. It's a great TV, don't get me wrong, but you need to turn off the lights. Under lighting conditions, QD-OLED just looks very, very bad. In my opinion, it just looks bad, man. It doesn't look good. That needs to be said. Because some people don't control the lighting conditions. That's the problem. They heard OLEDs, perfect blacks. Okay? And it doesn't say QD-OLED, it says OLED. Okay? So they associate perfect contrast, infinite contrast, perfect blacks with OLEDs. And they do not control the room, the ambient light, and they get a QD-OLED. They are not getting that. Okay? That's the problem I see. If you're an enthusiast, it doesn't matter. You're going to turn off the lights anyway. You're going to control the ambient light. But if you don't know that and you get an OLED thinking you're getting perfect blacks, and you have that on the living room on the lighting conditions, that's just, no, man. It's just not good. So yeah, make a video of your setup. I have 500 videos of my setup. I'm not sure what is your question. I mean, I shared all the settings from the NVIDIA control panel to the TV settings to the game settings to ReShade, everything. I've shared everything. No secrets. I shared all my settings. Were you able to get deep blacks on a CRT? If so, what settings did you use? No, I think I answered this question already. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, I beat the game. I have like way over 100 hours in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The HDR is just terrible. Absolutely horrendous. But if you use the HDR trick, it looks fantastic. Or, even Auto HDR. I mean, Auto HDR is better than the HDR trick when it is supported. I don't remember if Assassin's Creed Odyssey is supporting Auto HDR. Probably, but I don't remember. Hi, I have a C1 OLED. Which configuration use in Windows HDR app? The HDR calibration app, 0 on the first screen. Lower that to 0. And the next screen, 780. Next screen, 780. The last screen, you can leave it at 0 to get the natural colors, or you can increase the color saturation. That's for HGIG. That's going to give you a max CLL on the games of 797, 800 nits. So that slider on the HDR calibration app is not nits. It's like a weird scale. So when you max out that slider, the maximum number is like 2200. That's 10,000 nits. So that's not 2200 nits. So it's just a weird scale. You have to test it. You can take a screenshot. You open the game with Auto HDR. You take a screenshot, Windows Alt Print Screen, and you open that screenshot with the HDR WCG Image Viewer app. And that app is going to tell you the max CLL. So you can double check that it is working. Okay? So give that a try. How would you say LCD monitors with backlight strobing compared to CRTs, plasma, and OLED? That's a great question. LCDs are better. No, they're not better than CRTs in general, but the new ULMB 2.0 certification from NVIDIA means that the monitor needs to have 1 millisecond of persistence at least. Okay, ULMB 2.0 certification for monitors. If you see that on a monitor box, this is what you are getting. 1 millisecond of persistence or lower. Okay, so what is 1 millisecond of persistence? That's the motion clarity of the monitor. So 1 millisecond of persistence can have a motion clarity as good, so it can have a minimum motion blur of 1 pixel of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. Okay, so that is like a CRT. Some CRTs have 2 milliseconds of persistence, some have better than 1 millisecond of persistence, like my CRT. it does have better than 1 millisecond. So that's like a CRT basically, but it is it can be brighter because it needs to have 250 nits. Actually 275 nits if it is a 1440p monitor. It has to be 275 nits. If it is 1080p monitor, it needs to have 250 nits. They do not specify full screen, but that's what it is. It is full screen based on the reviews I've seen. So that's fantastic. I mean, 1 millisecond of persistence, 275 nits, full screen. Holy, that's insane. So it is, that's very good. Okay, so now this LCD with backlight strobing, the motion clarity changes depending on where you are on the screen. So when you are testing the UFO test, the UFO test is in the middle of the screen when you have it at full screen. That's going to look very clear, but if you have a test with the UFO test is at the bottom of the screen, in the middle, and at the top, it is different. The motion clarity is gonna be different depending on where you are on the screen. And the idea with ULMB 2.0 was to mitigate that as much as possible, and they actually improved that a lot. If you compare the ULMB 2.0 monitors with this Zowie technology, Diax Plus, it is better in that the ULMB 2.0 monitors, they are better in terms of the motion clarity uniformity. Let's say you have the same motion clarity anywhere on the screen, but they're not perfect. Okay, and CRTs don't have that issue. CRTs just look the same everywhere you are. And there's a little bit of crosstalk, insignificant from what I've seen with those ULMB 2.0 monitors. So the point is, LCDs can have better motion clarity because they are super bright, and all you have to do is to flash the screen. Somehow you can flash the entire screen, like this Asus. I forgot the model. I mean, this monitor's names is just 27UQ, something like that. The naming is messed up. But in this Asus monitor, the entire screen is flashing. It's like doing pop, 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 pop. But LCDs can do strobing, so they are very bright. That's why they can have amazing motion clarity, because when you strobe, when you reduce the pixel visibility time, you're reducing the brightness based on the Talbot-Platau's law. Okay. Of course, they would need to have a square wave to closely follow the Talbot-Platau's law. But there's a thing. If you reduce the persistence to 25%, you improve the motion clarity in 4x. You reduce the brightness in 4x. So if you have a monitor, if you have an LCD monitor that it can give you 1000 nits full screen, and now you reduce that brightness in 4x, you still have 250 nits, which is very bright, and now you have 4x motion clarity. That's why LCDs can be so good in terms of motion clarity. So now, how does that compare to plasmas? That's what plasmas do. They try to improve the motion clarity in 4x. They do not, because they have some gray to gray limitations. So it does. So a plasma has 4 milliseconds of persistence, but that is not equal to 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second, because plasma has gray to gray limitations. But it still looks very good, especially when you pan the camera slowly. You do get, when you move at 240 pixels per second, you get 1 pixel of motion blur, basically, with a plasma. So that would be the comparisons. CRT is still better. Yeah, no, this ULMB 2.0 can be more clear than a CRT. And LCDs, VR headsets are LCDs, VR headsets, they are even better. They can have an even lower persistence. With games from the PS, I already answered that. Okay, future of games. What future games are you looking forward to? Of course, Lords of the Fallen. That's the one that's coming soon. I'm concerned about Lords of the Fallen, because it is Unreal Engine 5, and the performance, I heard already from some reviewers that are not focused on tech, they were mentioning that when you load a new area, it was stuttering. Okay, so if they complain about that, oh, that's a big problem, because that means that the game is definitely going to stutter. So yeah. Have you ever thought about it to game in a live stream? Yeah, I might do that. I might play one of my favorite games and do that. And 60 FPS motion blur on is mandatory. Motion blur on is mandatory. Well, 60 FPS looks very bad in motion. So what I do is I use OLED Motion Pro High. So it looks like 158 FPS on my C1. On the CX, it looks like 240. So yeah, I turn off motion blur. I don't want any blur. See what else. Oh, this is about my comments from movies and the frame rate and all of that. Good actors are scarce nowadays. We only have amateur woke actors now. That was because I was saying that actors might look fake if you record their faces at high FPS. So yeah, it seems strange to me as well, as some of the movies were taken from the camera recorder for those who are used to 24 FPS movies. Yeah, it's just insane to me. These cameras that they have, these red digital cinema cameras, they can record 8K 120 frames per second. 8K, bro. Like, how are you gonna use that camera to record at 24 frames per second? It doesn't make any sense. That's why I rant about that. Let's see. Okay, 1 FPS has perfect motion clarity on any LCD. I can't wait for Starfield. Pre-order the premium edition for September 1. Man, I hope a Starfield performance is good. The game idea is fantastic to me. I mean, that's the dream. That's the dream, to go to space and explore all the planets, and to have that sense of the world is kind of infinite, because it's so big that you cannot even comprehend how big it is. It sounds like a fantastic idea, but my concern with a Starfield is that if it's running at 30 FPS on an Xbox Series X, a Starfield performance is gonna be bad. Okay, it's that simple. It's going to be very bad. If you cannot get 60 FPS on a first-person shooter on an Xbox Series X, this is just too bad, man. It's just trash performance. It's too bad. That's the problem. I'm concerned about that, but I definitely want the game to be good. I want to play it, but yeah, I'm afraid it's gonna be trash. So yeah, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong with that. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Starfield. Okay. 120 FPS plus Motion Pro low and Module HDR on is the sweet spot for me, since you've got much better brightness. High won't cut it for everybody, maybe not even medium. Well, the problem with OLED Motion Pro low is that it only reduces the persistence to 75%. It improves the motion clarity in 1.33x. That's not enough, man. But of course, 120 FPS is okay. It's okay. So yeah, that looks good. Of course, that looks good. But I prefer. I would not even use medium. I would use high. High is the best. But yeah, the option is there. I like it. To have more options is better because you can find the picture that you like. You can find your sweet spot. That's what matters. Let's see. Okay, let's see what else we have. And have you checked out the features and spec of the RetroTink 4K, aka that external BF5 device that the Blurbusters chief is involved in, which is being released later this year? Let me tell you. So he's talking about a device, an external device to do black frame insertion on any display. It is not a great idea, okay? And I already spoke with the Blurbusters with the Blurbusters chief about that. I asked him about that like several months ago, and he explained me the limitations of a device like that, okay? And one of the limitations is that if you use a device like that in some LCD screens, you might get burning. What? Burning on an LCD? Yes, it is a problem of the. Let me see if the explanation is very complex, okay? And he gave me a link to read an article that was very deep, very heavy. So I'm not expecting to, tell you exactly why here. But this is the idea that I remember. Why a device like that? So we're talking about an external device that you can use to get black from insertion, to get on any display, you get black from insertion. If you use that on some LCD screens, you might get burning because the LCD screens, if you're displaying the picture only on the positive cycles, it's a matter of polarity or something like that, of current or something. If you display the picture only on those cycles, you get burning. So you need to have both cycles. You cannot have one picture and then the other off, and one picture and then the other off, because you're like not balancing out the polarity or something like that. I don't remember the explanation. Okay, it was very deep and I was not able to understand it. But in some LCD screens that might be a problem. Okay, now the other thing is understanding the limitations of a device like that. If you have a 240 hertz display, the minimum motion blur that you can get is 4 milliseconds of persistence equal to 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. A device like that cannot change that. You cannot, if you have a 240 hertz OLED monitor, for example, and you get that device, what that can give you is your 4 milliseconds of persistence at 60, 120. Okay, basically integer numbers. Okay, you can go from 90, let me see, 90, what was the 80, from 80, 5, so it would be, so 3, so you get 80 FPS, so you can get it working at 80 FPS. So 80, you would improve the motion clarity in 3x. So you have 80 FPS, 4 milliseconds of persistence. So, but you cannot go beyond that. So you cannot get better motion clarity than 240 FPS, 240 hertz with a device like that, an external device to inject black frames, okay? So, and also it is going to add input lag and it's going to be significant, okay? The Blurbuster chief told me that. It's not me speculating. So it's going to add motion, it's going to add input lag. So the input lag, to figure it out, this was what he told me. To figure out the input lag, to get the input lag under control is very challenging. It's gonna add input lag. Then you cannot get better motion clarity than the maximum refresh rate of the display. And you have that limitation that with some LCD monitors you can get burning. Okay, so it is not a great idea, basically. Otherwise we would have that already. So what I would say to that new device is that I don't see, first of all, I find that is very weird that the Blurbuster chief would be involved in that device because of those limitations. And I asked him, he told me it's not a great idea to make a device like that. So it would be very strange to see him doing something like that, unless he figured out something, unless he figured out how to make it better. Yeah, so we're gonna end soon, so ask the last questions. Let me try to finish reading here. I think we're caught up. Does the SDR trick work with PS5? For the PS5, use HDR always on option. Then you open the games on SDR, you have this HDR format, and use dynamic tone mapping. So when you use dynamic tone mapping, you're gonna push the brightness. So now the max CLL of the games, when you use HDR always on the PS5, it's like, I don't remember, it was like 320 nits, something like that. So it's very low, so you have to use dynamic tone mapping. What I would do is go to the HDMI signaling override secret menu and use mastering pick maxi LL 400 because that's the minimum you can use, and then check the black level and see if the black level looks raised. Lower the fine-tune dark areas setting. So I'm not sure if it looks raised, but I saw a gaming tech video comparing. It was Layers of Fear, that video, and he was comparing HDR always on with a native HDR with SDR. Okay, and SDR was looking darker near black, then followed by the HDR always on, and then followed by the native HDR, which is just a mess that game. So based on that, if HDR always on the PS5 looks significantly brighter near black, then you might want to reduce that. So lower fine-tune dark areas option. I have a video where I shared some tweakings to get like an SDR HDR trick working on the PS5, but you have to keep in mind I do not have a PS5. I cannot test it, so that was just me trying to figure out some SDR HDR trick or using this HDR always on to get a better picture. And what I did basically was to access the service menu and increase the contrast in sub BC to get clipping with HGIG, to get clipping at 320, which is what which is the max CLL basically. So I don't remember exactly what is the max CLL with HDR always on the PS5, but whatever it is, what I did was to increase the contrast on the TV calibration to have HGIG clipping at that point. So now when you do that, you're washing out the picture, you're washing out the whites, okay? And you're losing the color saturation. So what I did is I increased the color saturation to the exact point to have the same clipping I had before I messed up with the contrast. So the result of that trick is something that looks very bright, the colors look wrong, but they look saturated, and I'm not sure near black how that's gonna look. So that's just a cool experiment, and that's what I said in the video. Give it a try, let me know how it looks. Some people say it looks great, some people say it looks wild. Just give it a try. But what I would recommend, and what is probably the best option, would just be dynamic tone mapping, and then check out the black level. Maybe lower the black level with fine-tune dark areas option and see if that looks better. That's what I would do. Of course, I would test everything, but that's what I would recommend you to try and see if that works. Let's see what else we have here. Man, we're getting a lot more questions here. I'm going to cap it at 2 hours, so we're at 1:38. Let's see what else we have. Man, we have so many questions. Okay. I'm trying to catch up. Okay, so I learned so much from you, my friend. Oh, thank you. That's what I want. I want to share everything I learned, to share with everybody. I'm not an expert, but the things that I think I'm learning, I share that. SDR HDR trick is only on Windows 11. Did you already try the app? Special K HDR looks like a good tool to control tone mapping. Yeah, I'm going to try Special K. The thing is, I don't think it works for every game, and it has conflicts with ReShade, I believe. So the ideal would be if I can have a Special K with the HDR analysis tool, that would be great. I will try it. I tried a Special K back in the day, but I was not able to get a great result. But I will try it again. Okay, so this new BFI device is way too expensive, $1,000. I'm already having a hard time trying to get an LG OLED. Yeah, that device is just weird. I don't think. Yeah, I'm going to check it out, but I don't think that's a good idea. Definitely not worth $1,000, but I would check it out. Some games like Doom 2016 won't let you play in HDR. It forces the TV to turn on SDR mode. Oh yeah, I have seen that in some games. So for example, on Red Dead Redemption, Vulcan, if you turn off HDR, you are back to SDR and the TV is on SDR. Yeah. So what you have to do is use a program that is called, what was the name? Borderless Gaming? Borderless Gaming, something like that. Yeah, so that program forces the games into borderless window mode. So in that way, they get the settings of your desktop. So let's say that you have, 100 hertz on your desktop, then the game's gonna be at 100 hertz VSync, basically. So that's what you can do for those games where you cannot force this SDR HDR trick. Try that. Use that program to have them on borderless, or Red Dead Redemption, just use DirectX 12. That's it. Oh, for some reason I lost the chat. Yeah, so I lost all the previous chats, man. Why? Yeah, I lost them. For some reason, I cannot scroll back. So the last one I can see is Christopher Gauss. I have a 55-inch 1080p Samsung LCD TV from about 9 years ago. It has incredible clarity with the interpolation settings enabled. Best of all, no visible flickering at all. Yeah, low latency motion interpolation is a great idea for gaming. Man, I lost all the comments. Oh, so I'm sorry. I wanted to read all the comments, but I cannot scroll down there. It seems like, I don't know why this happened. I've been trying to get the same results with my Samsung LED and my C1. Both flicker and are not as clear, but way better image and colors. I'm always turned off. Yeah, so somebody asked me if I play the guitar. Yes, I started streaming, teaching how to play the guitar. How to do shredding on the guitar. So how to do this basically. This is very simple. This is called two-way pick slanting. So when you play like this, so you rest the pick. You rest the pick. When you go down, the pick goes to the air. And then you learn how to do this the other way. So when you go up, the pick rests. And when you go down, the pick goes to the air. And then what you do is you combine both. So you do down, up, and then you rotate. To change the string, you rotate. See? It's very simple. It's called two-way pick slanting. That was discovered by Troy Grady. So check him out on YouTube. It's very simple. I mean, anyone can shred on the electric guitar just by doing that. I don't even play the electric guitar. I focus on the classical guitar. That's why you see my nails are super long, too long. I have to file them. But yeah, I play the guitar. I'm a guitar teacher, actually. That's what I do. That's what I do. I'm a guitar teacher. That's why I play the electric guitar, just to teach the techniques and all of that. So I just wanted to share that in case some of you play the guitar. Check out the Troy Grady YouTube channel. That's great. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to finish soon because I lost all the questions, unfortunately. Okay. Just now got to the point. I don't notice the flicker at 60 Hz BFI on my C2. Going to warm 50, but going to warm 15 from warm 50 makes me not notice as much. I prefer 60 BFI now over 120 without. So on the C2, 60 BFI looks exactly the same as 120. But here's the difference. The difference is that if you get 60 FPS on your game, you can get 60 FPS with a much higher fidelity and graphical settings than 120. Because to get 120 FPS, you need to reduce the fidelity of the game. Okay? Unless the game is so easy to run that you can max out the resolution and the fidelity anyway. So yeah, it definitely looks better. in terms of the fidelity of the game, and the motion clarity is the same, but it's higher fidelity. So yeah, and the flickering on the C2 and C3 is less because it is a smaller reduction on the persistence. So on the C1, you're reducing the persistence with OLED Motion Pro High to 38% based on my testing. But I believe, so here's the thing. I've said many times on the C1, OLED Motion Pro High reduces the persistence to 38% because that's what I see. That's the final result. But what the TV is doing, I strongly believe, is reducing it to 33%, but because it is not a square wave like this, because it has a softness, that's why what I perceive is 38%. The last 5%, it might be also an error of my calculation or just my testing. But that's what I think is going on. It's really 33%. So if you compare the C2 is reducing it to 50% versus 33%, then the C2 might not flicker as much for most people. So that's good. And it's also going to be brighter too as a consequence. It should be brighter. Although I think on the C1, they definitely push more brightness for the 60 OLED Motion Pro High, definitely, because it looks significantly brighter than at 100 and 120, even when the persistence reduction is the same. So yeah. I play guitar for a living. So, I cannot play the guitar only for a living. Very few people can do that unless you are on a band that is very famous or something like that. So you always have to rely on classes. Okay, so I have to, be a professor. Even great, masters, they have to do classes. You cannot just play. And I play the guitar for a living, and that's all I do. I cannot do that because it's just not enough. But yeah, that's what I try. That's the dream. Just play the guitar. Maybe just do YouTube because I like it. That's the idea. When will we finally get larger size 4K TVs that will be acceptable, that will be capable of 1 millisecond of persistence? Ah, that's my question, man. That's my question. When? I think we can get it right now. ULMB 2.0. That's all we need. We need an LCD TV. We need a micro LED TV that comes with ULMB 2.0 certification. It's that simple. Now, can we get that? It's a big challenge because of brightness. Because here's the thing. If you have a TV that is 240 hertz, actually, we already have 240 hertz TVs. TCL has 240 hertz TVs. They are 240 hertz at 1080p, so with half the vertical resolution. But that's coming. So 240 hertz 4K micro LED TVs, that's coming. And those TVs can definitely support a strobing to have the ULMB 2.0 certification. Definitely. So I predict that TCL is the one that's gonna have that. So now the problem with TCL is that, for example, the QM8, I watched so many reviews about that TV because I was interested on that TV. And at the end, it is recently that I discovered from some of the reviewers, they commented that it has some sharpness that you cannot turn off. Like some sharpness setting, some sharpness processing that is always on. And that sucks, man. Why? It's just things that TCL, come on, man. It's just nonsense. Why are you doing that? So that just messed everything up. But yeah, I believe TCL might be the first one. So the problem with 120 hertz TVs to have ULMB 2.0 is that how are you going to get 1 millisecond of persistence from 120 hertz TVs? You're gonna have to flicker too much. You might not be able to see the flickering, but yeah, I would need to test that. So you have to reduce the persistence to 12.5% to get 1 millisecond of persistence, basically. That's huge. So if you do PWM, if you do strobing on those LCD TVs, you have to reduce the pixel visibility time, the persistence to 12.5%. So think about that. The TV draws the picture left to right, top to bottom, okay? And after it has 12.5% of the screen draw, it's gonna scroll that down and the rest is black. So they can either do that or flash the entire screen. But if you flash the entire screen, you have to push serious brightness, because we're talking about, like, let's say that the TV can do 1000 nits full screen. If it's 240 hertz, yes, because you reduce that 1000 nits, you reduce that to 250. Then you can get ULMB 2.0 certification. But if it's 120, now you would need to have a lot more brightness. So you would need to have actually 2000 nits full screen. That's too much. Of course, so then that technique wouldn't make sense. To flash the entire screen like some of these monitors are doing for ULMB 2.0, it wouldn't make sense. So what would make sense is to do the backlight strobing, and these TVs can definitely do 2000 nits on a 12.5% window. So it would be 2000 nits on a 12.5% window size to get 250 nits full screen and get 1 millisecond of persistence in one of these 120 hertz mini LED TVs. I think I did the math right, okay? But this is live, so maybe I made a mistake. But it is technically possible, and I would definitely be interested in that. Definitely. And I mean, they can even go lower than that. They can, instead of 12.5, they can just do 10%. The TVs can do 2000 nits on a 10% window. These mini LED TVs. So we could have sub 1 millisecond of persistence on those TVs and still have 250 nits of brightness. That would be insane. They can definitely do that. And yeah, I would be interested on that for sure. I just need to do it. and market that for gaming. It's just a no-brainer, man. I don't understand how these companies, I mean, I would like to get a job, like an executive job in one of these companies, man, because I would definitely push that for sure. I would focus on gaming and making the gamers happy with that TV for sure. Okay. So Gauss, okay, man, I lost the chat also. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the chat. I lost all the questions. Something happened and I cannot go back to read the questions. I love my C1 more in nearly every respect, but I wish it is clear with motion as all Samsung LCD. The C1 is pretty close though. Which Samsung is that? Maybe. It is possible, definitely possible. Anyways, I just compare my GX to my G1 and they are identical at 120 BFI. Both have 1 or 2 pixel of blur at 480 speed at UFO test. So now to notice the difference is very difficult, okay? So for example, the C1 at 360 pixels per second, it doesn't have 1 pixel of motion blur. It has a little bit more. Just, I'm talking about, yeah, it is not 1 millisecond, it's not 1 pixel of motion blur at 360 pixels per second. So it is not like a 360 hertz OLED, but it's very close. So in my testing, it's like 312, not 360, but I mean, it's very, very hard to tell the difference. Yeah, you need to, if you have both TVs, man, look closer. So focus on the alien eyes, on the pupils of the alien. Okay, the pupils of the alien. That's the key. They have to look perfectly sharp. Okay, if they look just a little bit blurry, just the minimum blur, you don't have 1 pixel of motion blur. So focus on the alien eyes and see if you can tell the difference. There might be a difference. They might be the same, but there might be a difference. I strongly believe that they are different, but they might be the same. Love your channel, bro. Keep up the good work. Thank you. You'd be huge if this wasn't such a niche community. So to be honest, I like the channel. I like when the channel grows, definitely. That's why I do the videos. I want the channel to grow, but to be honest, I like it when it grows fast. Like when I have, for example, when I make a video that has a lot of views, I get some stupid comments, to be honest. So it is very rare when I mean stupid or something like that. Oh, I'm live. I think the live stream cut for a moment. Yeah. So what I mean by stupid comment is somebody offending me. Like, that's so weird. Like, I have over 500 videos and I can count with one hand, maybe two hands. Okay, maybe two hands. I can count the amount of people just being nasty. Okay? Just the internet, you know how it is. It's very rare. But that only happens when I make a video that it is like a blob, like it's just a lot of views. Okay. So in some ways, I prefer the channel to grow naturally, okay? Instead of trying to just, try to find topics that are going to get more views just so the channel grows super fast. Because I prefer to have a community that is a niche. It's a community that is focused, that it is focused on the same things, that it is also thinking and you're here for the right reasons, just to share and just to learn together and grow together. I'm learning and I learn from the community. That's what I want. I want good feedback, okay? So I don't want suddenly 1 million subscribers of people that are just nasty, basically. But that's gonna happen. I mean, the more you grow, you get some nasty people. But that's okay. That's okay. Just ignore them. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to finish at 2 hours. We are 157, so I'm gonna finish soon. Let me read the final questions. You're going to play the guitar, play out some guitar. I don't play anything on the electric guitar. I just shred. I just practice how to play fast on the electric guitar. I don't know any repertoire. I play the classical guitar. That's where I play my repertoire. I have an Asus monitor with ULMB 1. I never use ULMB on it. Now that I know what it is, I am bummed I missed out. Give it a try. Just use the C2 now, but I'll always pay attention to BF5 settings on TVs and monitors. Yeah, man, that's my point. Just, this is something that nobody talks about. That's why I'm talking about it, because I think it is very important and people should definitely demand that. It is so important. Did LG G3 have secret HLG mode as LG C1? Yeah, it has the same HDMI override secret menu. But I no longer recommend HLG because we know better now. We know better tricks now. Of course, if you have a Nintendo Switch and it is SDR, I'm not sure if the new OLED Switch with HDR, if you can get HDR on the output for the TV. Maybe. I have to ask Gaming Tech about that. But yeah, you can do it, but the colors look wrong, man. They look very wrong. And the thing is, I would know how to fix it now, but you don't have the color control settings. So I think I can fix it now using this color temperature meter app. So what I would do maybe one day, the thing is I don't want to change the factory calibration of my TV. I can go to a service menu and calibrate, okay? I don't want to do that, but I can do it. And then just of course, copy the values, the default values, and then just go back to the default values. The thing I like about these LG OLEDs is that you have the color settings on the regular menu, and you can always hit reset if you messed it up. You don't have to remember the default settings and go back and all that. So when you turn on HLG, you force HLG over SDR. That's what we're talking about here for games that don't support SDR. The colors look so wrong. They look very wrong. It looks very good, okay? And in some cases, you might even like it. But you get like a red push, and it looks very wrong. It looks bad. But I believe I can kind of fix it or mitigate it now using this color temperature meter app. I think I know what to look for. Basically fix that green to magenta balance and make sure the color temperature is right. But more importantly, the green to magenta balance. And I can fix that on the service menu, because when you force HLG, you don't have those calibration settings. So I might do that, and I might do a video about that, but I don't think that's going to benefit a lot of people. I'm not gonna use it at all. And the thing is, you're gonna have to tweak the settings on the service menu just to do that. But then if you want to just don't do it, or just play a native HDR game, then you have to go back to the service menu and go to the default settings. So yeah, it's not gonna be convenient, but just as a cool experiment, I might do it and just make a video about it. So yeah, colors are not as good as LED TVs, but it is clear with motion. It's comparing a LCD with a OLED. Let's see. I witnessed my own eyes. One person Quake 2 remaster in 4K resolution. PS5 color washout. LGC2 on Facebook groups post too dim and grayed out. Quake 2 remaster PS5. Can you test Quake 2 remaster on PC? Yeah, I think it's free. I can test that game. You're saying that it looks washed out, Quake 2? That would be hilarious, man. They focus on ray tracing. It's like I don't like to talk about bad about anyone, okay? I'm never gonna do it, but to demand ray tracing on a game that has washed out HDR is nonsense, okay? Because the color grading, the way the HDR looks is more important. So I've seen that. Oh, the only problem that this game has is that it doesn't support ray tracing, and then it has washed out HDR. That's wrong. Okay, so if they, for example, if they add ray tracing to Quake 2, and that was the whole point, and then it looks washed out on SDR or HDR, like, what's the point? You need to make sure the game looks good in terms of the colors, the black levels, the contrast of the image. That's more important than ray tracing. So if I test Quake 2 RTX and it looks washed out and horrible, I'm gonna lose my mind. I mean, I don't lose my mind, but I would just, like, this is nonsense. Okay, yeah, we're gonna finish. Yeah, we're over 2 hours. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. I was expecting nobody to show up because I didn't announce this live stream. I just wake up and said, man, I just don't want to fight with the computer today. It's kind of broken. Just gonna play the guitar, maybe do a guitar lesson. If no one shows up, I'm just gonna do a guitar lesson. And then just go out and skate or something. I'm not gonna do any computer today. So that's why I wanted to do this live stream. But yeah, we got a lot of people on the chat, a lot of questions that I couldn't answer because of this issue. But let's see, let me answer the final questions and then we'll be done. Let's see, using HLG, I can get HDR on my PS2. That's right. I have to turn down the colors. Yeah, it's really cool. Absolutely, it's definitely a cool trick. When I discovered that trick, that video got like 60,000 views, something like that. That's the video with more views on the channel. When I discovered HLG, I was really excited about it, man. That was real. In that video, you cannot see very well how good it looks. Actually, it looks terrible on the video, but you can see it on my face, bro. Like, I am excited about it. So when you do something real, you put out there, you put your emotions out there, people know when it is real. And it was real, man. That's why that video has so many views. I was so excited when I discovered that HLG3 guy. I just like, man, struggling with HDR. I didn't know how to fix HDR. So I discovered just a single click. Boom, this is done. It works. I was so happy with that. And people liked it too. It's a cool trick, absolutely. Yeah, better contrast, better than RT. Yeah, it's like Cyberpunk, okay. Or even the new Baldur's Gate. Great game and all of that. The problem that the game has is that the HDR doesn't look very good. The problem of the game is not that it doesn't support ray tracing. That's not a problem. Okay, that's my point. Is there an easy way to correct the out-of-the-box black crushing issue with the C1 without paying for professional calibration? Absolutely, I share how to do that. It's very easy. You just use some test patterns, and if the TV is crushing, use the 22-point calibration setting. I've shared how to do that. It's very simple. Check out some of those videos. Very simple. With a 22-point calibration, you go back to the lowest code value and increase red, green, and blue, let's say in 5. Okay, so you do 5, let's say code value 15 or 17, which is the lowest code value. Increase red, green, and blue on 5. That's on HDR. Okay, 22-point calibration, LG OLEDs. Red, green, and blue 5. Red, green, and blue 4. Red, green, and blue. So you go to the next code value, and then you increase it in 4. Red, green, and blue. Then go to the next code value, increase it in 3. Next code value 2, 1. Okay. If that's still crushing, then you go back and you do increase it in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The reason why you want to reduce that increase is to keep the gradients smooth. You don't want to just increase it in 10 and then 0, because then when you look at the gradients on the grayscale, you're gonna see that there's a jump. You want to smooth out the gradients. That's how you can fix the crushing. But if it's a new TV, just let it warm up. Also, you can just increase the screen brightness in 1 click, or the black level in 1 click, or fine-tune dark areas. You can increase it in 2 before you get raised blacks. But I wouldn't recommend that, because that's also going to, fine-tune dark areas, yes. Increase it in 2 click, that would be okay. Just make sure on your specific TV that's not raising the blacks. It shouldn't. But I wouldn't recommend to increase the black level, because if you increase the black level in 1 click, you're affecting the entire picture. You're washing out the colors a little bit too. It's difficult to notice, but yeah, you're washing it out a little bit. So it is very simple to fix. But if it's new, just let it warm up and enjoy the crushing until after 100, 200 hours maybe, that's gonna get better. Okay, we're gonna finish in a moment. Let's see if I can read the last comments. You a skateboard or rollerblade? So I have inline skates. Let me see if I have it. Oh no, I have it over there. Yeah, I have a very cool. Let me show you my skates. Give me a moment. Yeah, they are big time dirty. This is what I'm using now. So this is very cool, man. This is very cool. So these are power slide necks, and it has this mount that has 3 screws, so I can change the frame. See, it has 1, 2, and it has a 3rd screw here. So I can change the frame. But here's the thing: with this frame, I can have different wheel configurations. So right now I have 5 wheels, okay? But I can have 3 huge wheels, like 125, wheels, like one here, one in the middle, and one here, or I can have 4 wheels that are 110. So 4, 110 to go faster, okay? And it's a Luminon 7000. This is a incredible frame. Very, very cool looking too. It's just very dirty right now. But it is very cool. It has these golden accents, and yeah, it's very good. And then I have a nice liner, very comfortable. This is a second skin liner, a Lomax signature liner. So yeah, I love skating. I like to go fast. This is what I enjoy the most, to go fast. So I go on the bike trail, and I just go fast. And if there's someone on a bike, I want to go faster. But yeah, it's difficult to keep up with a bike because, you know, bike is faster. But sometimes I can go, especially when I have the wind in my favor, I go faster than the bike. So I like it. I enjoy inline skates. I don't like hardcore, like aggressive skating, because I don't want to, you know, fall and then have to go to the hospital, or my fingers. I don't want to messed up with my fingers, so I always use protection and all of that stuff to not get injured. Have you tried gaming on a 240 hertz OLED monitor at 240 FPS? And if so, how does it compare to plasma in terms of motion clarity? I haven't tested that, but I can tell you for sure that's gonna be way better than the plasmas, for sure. No question about that, because you're going to get 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. Okay, on the plasmas you do not get 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second, because it has gray to gray limitations. I'm not sure about the neo plasmas, how much better they are. They are supposed to have better gray to gray, but yeah, I don't believe it's gonna be perfect like the OLEDs. So, but I know how that looks, because on my LG C1, 120 FPS, 120 hertz OLED Motion Pro Medium has the same 4 milliseconds of persistence. So it is not the same to have 240 FPS, okay, at 240 hertz. That's better. Sample and hold. You get the brightness, you don't get brightness loss, and you get more information. You need the input lag is better. That's better. But in terms of motion clarity, it's the same. So I know how that looks, and it looks vastly superior to the plasmas. I mean, my plasmas, they look like the LG C1 with 60 OLED Motion Pro High. A little bit better. My Pioneer Kuro, actually, I haven't done that video. I haven't done that video. The motion clarity analysis of my Pioneer Kuro 151 FD. I have to do that video because it is very interesting. It's actually better than the Panasonic TCP42S1. I'm gonna make that video. When I move, I'm moving soon, so once I move, I have everything set up. I'm gonna make that video. So let me finish with these questions here. HLG. Does all apply to SDR as well? Yeah, SDR. No, SDR. So he's asking me if the 22-point calibration to fix the black crushing on SDR. On SDR, you have the signal percentage level. And on SDR, on these LG OLEDs, we have a brightness setting. So instead of increasing red, green, and blue in 5, just increase the brightness on the percentage level. So you go to the 2.5% signal level, increase that brightness on 5, then 4, 3, 2, 1, or do 10, 9, 8, or 7, 6, 4, 3. So it's signal level, and instead of increasing red, green, and blue, increase the brightness setting, basically. That's on SDR. That's how it works on SDR. I showed that too. When I showed the SDR calibration for OLED Motion Pro, I used that. I just imagined you flying down the path with some skates screaming about black level race. Yeah, so it's very important to learn how to brake with the skates, especially when you go fast. So yeah, I'm a master of braking. Very important to brake. So to have the brake, because you can go fast, and then the thing is they have brakes, so you need to use the wheels to brake and all that. So yeah, very important. Should I wait for a 480 hertz OLED or just go for 240? well, if you can get 480 FPS, that's gonna be better for sure. Yeah, I would wait. I'm gonna wait. I would wait until next year. 240 hertz, 4K. Okay, because right now, yeah, 240 hertz, 1440p is a downgrade. So I would, yeah, 4K, 240 hertz, and there's a monitor next year that's supposed to have that, and have an option that's 1080p, 480 hertz. So that would be, that would make a lot of sense. So I would do that. But the problem with WRGB OLED monitors is that they have a matte finish, and yeah, glossy. It has to be glossy finish, otherwise no. Do you watch any rollerblade YouTubers? Yes, Ricardo Lino. I watched some of those videos. So yeah, I'm gonna finish the stream here. Hey, thanks everyone who showed up. Thanks for the super chat. Thank you for being here. And yeah, hopefully I can fix my PC today at night after I finish my day. I'm gonna go out and skate or something. Hopefully I can figure out what's going on with my PC. Hopefully Mystic can help me. See if we can chat. See if we can figure out what's going on. Man, I just, PCs sometimes, like, and I don't want to have to just spend a bunch of money again on a PC. Oh man, no, because then I'm not gonna buy the same thing, and I'm gonna have to buy something better. I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of money, and then here's what happened. Let's say, okay, the board has an issue. Okay, I need to get a new board. I'm not gonna get the same motherboard. So if I get something new, it has to be better. So now I get a better, newer CPU and board. Now I need to get a new GPU because I'm just upgrading my system. I'm not gonna keep the same GPU now. I need to get a new GPU. So what am I gonna get? I need to get a 4090. So we're talking about a $5,000 problem. Okay, so I want to fix it. I don't want to spend $5,000 to fix this problem. So I just need to figure out what's going on with my PC, so I can keep playing and I can keep making videos. Yeah, I don't want to spend money. So yeah, thanks for everyone here. Yeah, monitors are more expensive than TV. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Bigger screen size, lower price on the TVs. That's just a no-brainer. I would never, get a monitor. Smaller screen size, more expensive. It doesn't make any sense. Like $1,000 for a 27-inch 1440p monitor. You can get a C2 or a C1, or I recommend the C1 because of Black from the Social. If you cannot get a C2, C3 when they drop in price down to $800. So you get 42, 48-inch for $800. And then 27-inch 4K, and then 27-inch 1440p matte finish for $1,000. No way, no way. Yeah, 240 hertz is nice. No way. So yeah, that would be my take on that. I have to replace my motherboard, but it's still like 4 years old at this point. Yeah, 4 years old. It's not that old. So yeah, thanks for everyone to tune in. What CPU you pair with a 4090 best? I mean, the best you can get, man. The most expensive CPU, the best you can afford. If you're going for a 4090, you're not thinking about value at all. Just watch a review. The one that tops the chart, that's the one that you get. Of course, you don't need like a lot of cores. Of course not. So don't pay for a lot of cores that you're not gonna need for gaming. But you get what I'm saying. Just get top of the line. Yeah, 13700K, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for everyone who tuned in. I'm gonna end the stream, and hopefully I can fix my PC so I can keep making videos. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and anything that you want me to cover. Just let me know.